How's it going? I'd like to welcome
What's up, bro?
everybody to another episode, actually straight out of our office here in Ravensburg, Germany. It is day, 367 of quarantine. You know, the earth outside is just crumbling down. No, I'm just kidding.
Beard's
Anyhow,
getting longer and the hair's getting longer and yeah.
yeah, at some point, I hope this weekend when we find out that the only thing I care about is a barber shop to be opened up and I get the first head meeting or the first appointment because I need a lineup, I need a fade, I need to get shaved. You know, this can't keep going. But anyhow, myself and my co-host and my boss, my head coach, Sebastian Fandert, we have the pleasure of having another amazing guest on. This kind of goes in correlation with what we had yesterday with PPI CEO founder Brandon Collier, where we got a guy and he came straight out of the ranks of the GFL-Juniors, the Bayerische Auswahl, the Bavarian All-Star team, rather, the national team, and he made a name for himself. So this is one of the guys where, he had the opportunity to, let's say, have some people kind of like put his name out there, but he didn't go that route. He essentially did it by himself. He went through the Clearwater system, the Clearwater Academy down in Florida, and he now finds himself at URI, so University of Rhode Island, with the Rams. And we'd like to welcome Dimitri. How you doing?
What's up, bro? Doing good. How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're glad to have you because, to be honest, a lot of people kind of know you, right? A little bit.
Yeah, I think just in Germany, bro. It's like I think a lot of people know me.
But that's big. That's big because, like we kind of talked about already, and people are going to get to know if they don't know yet. You're, like I kind of said, you're one of the few guys to say, you know what, I'm going to make the jump to high school. And yes, there are other guys, and there's a big amount of guys that have done that. But you then went to college, right? And for a lot
Yep.
of guys, the biggest thing is that transition, kind of like making the jump out here. Let's say, for example, Germany, playing in the youth, where the demands are nowhere near to let's say what you went to at Clearwater, which is a damn good football program. To make it through there and say, you know what, this is something that I still want to pursue, I still want to keep doing, because there are some guys out there, they say they're cut for it, and when they get there, what happens? They don't like it, it sucks, they want to come back home. And there's a lot of guys I can name off the top of my head that are basically now back here playing in the GFL, the GFL2, where they just didn't have the mental fortitude and discipline and just having that chip on your shoulder to say, you know what, I'm going to make a name for myself, because this is the thing, right? And we know this. That's just step one in this journey, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, how was that for you now? Because you're a guy that came out of the Firsty Razorbacks program in the south of Germany, because I believe there are still GFL-Juniors, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and then you went through that system. Well, for the most part, you got a decent youth program, and then now, let's talk about kind of like you and your journey going from there and then getting the opportunity at Clearwater, because from what I remember, you were actually looking at going somewhere else, right? And then something happened and you ended up going to Clearwater?
Right.
Right.
So I played at first Razorbacks. We played a couple years at the GFL-Juniors, and now played against Schwäbisch Hall every year for the South Division Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And 2016, I was in contact with the high school in Cali, and it didn't work out. So 2017, I ended up going to Clearwater Academy, and I wanted to go to high school just to get like the transition to high school to college, like Germany, high school, then high school to college, because I knew if I would go from Germany straight to college, it's the difference is just too much.
I mean, definitely, and that's kind of one of the things where it's like guys don't understand, like kind of what you're saying. Like, it's a big jump, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Yep.
The level of play, the demands.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
How big of a difference would you say? You could talk about it more.
So in Germany, you have like maybe 3 practices. Like that's the most you get. Like you don't have to go to the gym. It's like, and it's like in college, it's like you wake up every day 5:30, you go have lift, then you have practice, and it's like hard. Like we have to. It's like every day's game day, pretty much. And there's no excuses. It's like there's no my leg hurts, or my finger hurts. Nah, it's like you play. Like there are no excuses.
I mean, 100%. I mean, because that's something, and I'm going to be honest, we're going to put it out there, right? I mean, you were a guy that, let's say, back in the day, I'm kind of calling you out. You kind of made excuses, right?
Yeah, I used to, honestly. I'm gonna be honest, I used to, but it's once you're in the States, they get that out of you.
How is
Like,
that? Why would you say that?
because if you make excuses all the time, it's like you're not gonna make it.
Right.
But you are also in the situation, or when you come to a high school, I mean, you're not more alone. Where you living there? You're living there with a host family, or how that setup was, everything to organize at high school. I mean, even you want to make an excuse, nobody cares. You know, there's no mommy, no daddy around. You're alone. You're probably 9,000 miles away from home. So you're in a situation you have to get it done because that's why you're there. So, but
Exactly.
how was the setup? How was it over there, high school alone? How old you are when you enjoying the first time the high school there?
So I was 17 and I went to Clearwater. I lived with a host family, and it was all right. So there was nothing really like something else to do there, because my goal was to get D1 offers, and not like, that's that's not like a big vacation.
Yeah,
So I just like had to get like my grades up. That
awesome.
was the main goal, and get offers and play good football.
Right. How was that big thing? Because I mean, you already talked about it, the volume of training where it's every day, and I mean, you could talk about more how the setup was at Clearwater in terms of practices and workouts. I mean, like you said, you're going from, let's say, maybe 2-3 practices a week from what the average is most teams have out here, and now you're going to an every single day system. And what the big thing we always say, and they say in the States, is student athlete. It's not the other way around. And you just got to fucking figure it out. It can't be like, hey, coach, I have an exam I got to study for. I can't come to practice. If you say that, what's going to happen? They're going to put you on the next fucking flight and send you home, right? It's not like out here in
Exactly.
Germany with all these guys. And I'm going to say it. Like, a lot of these kids coming up that want to make it, and they come up with these excuses, off the bat, they're not going to cut it. Because that's the thing. Like, you have to figure out a way, set up a routine, a daily plan, and you just got to figure out, like, I got to study, I got to go to practice, I got to train, I got to take care of my eating habits, I got to be smart. And let's say if guys do party, don't party too much where it affects all that. Like, it's a job at the end of the day.
Yep, exactly. So like Clearwater Academy is like, the heat just like was a big factor for first place, and we had like 2-hour practices every day. So Monday till Thursday we had 2-hour practices, and then Friday, of course, we had game day, and that was also like completely different, just like because of the speed, and also the bodies. It's just like, even in high school, you can tell that like some people are just like, they're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is way different than here.
Yeah, and
Like,
how you feel there on the school then as a German? You're the only kid from abroad. I mean, European abroad.
so my first year at Clearwater Academy, there were 3 other German kids. One of them was from Munich, so I knew him. The other 2 kids were from one kid was from Saarbrücken, and the other kid was from somewhere from North Rhine-Westphalia. And they were both like, they only had 1 year, but my second year I was the only German, so I was pretty much.
What happened to the other guys? They just didn't cut it, or what happened?
No, they didn't get any offers.
Also, they're on the last year for them. They're already high school seniors. Okay.
Okay.
And how was it for you? Helped that a lot to come in a new country, new school, and of course you have someone who at least sometimes speak the language and all that. I mean, I coach over there too. I've been there, and everywhere I was always alone. Of course, I'm a little bit older. I was starting this January with the middle of 20, but you know, sometimes you're happy when you see someone you can speak German, even if it's random shit. But sometimes it's nice to talk about with someone in German. This helps you a lot. And on the other side, how was the second year? Because this was your senior year. You have to get ready to getting scholarships. How was this all? Does this affect you a little bit to be alone then?
So my senior year was honestly, I think, way better than my junior year. Like I had way more fun, and like we were more like the chemistry of the team was way better my senior year, and it was way more fun with all the Germans than with the Germans.
Get as fuck out there. No. And how was your recruiting process? You getting calls, or you have to go out to recruiting? Because I think that's for Germans also something like a whole new chapter how all it works.
So recruiting is at Clearwater Academy is every day got like at least 10 coaches every day. So I remember my junior year, I had to leave my classroom at least 3 or 4 times a day
Really?
just to shake someone's some coach's hand.
That's cool.
And like I had like a stack of these cards. Remember all these cards like with information on it? So I remember I have a stack of these, and it's just like first day with recruiting. It's just like it's kind of like a meat market.
Yeah. What you do with the cards, you send them from junior to senior season, you send them by your own clips when there's the email address on, you send them
It's like
highlights, or that you just sure I'm good enough that will come back to me.
so what I did was I texted them on their phone, just like saying, "Hey coach, thanks for coming to our school. Was nice, nice to meet you." And then I would follow him on Twitter, and then send him my highlight tape.
That's good. And
So
oh no, you can tell some names, how many schools you get in touch with that really seriously offer you something.
so I was talking to UMass. Um, they offered me. They were my first offer. Tennessee Tech was my second offer. Delaware State was my third offer. Um, and then I had a couple D2s. One NAIA school, and then pretty late Rhode Island came, but that was nothing big. Like just my size, that was just a bit too small for.
What UMass is not that bad, or Texas Tech is not that bad. So there's of course something good. And how you make your decision? How it come down that you pick up the Rhode Island hat to put on?
Honestly, that's like something that I realized throughout these 2 years in Clearwater. Because when I came there first, I wanted to play for the big schools, like Michigan, Nebraska,
Of course.
But that's not important. It's just like I wanted to play for a good coach and like a good school, just like it's like my second house or something. When I go there, I'm like, damn, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
And like, when you see all the people and just like environment and all that, it's just like all these factors, just like it's gonna be right. Like,
Yeah.
and you want to play too,
Absolutely.
not just like you.
My question to you is, especially a guy coming out of Germany, and now having to go through that process, because kind of like you said, right? You're going into your senior year and basically saying, "Hey, this is it." Because for a lot of guys, and like we've talked about this multiple times. Like you went with some guys that went to some big time schools, right?
Yep.
And for the most part, we know this in the States. Like that recruiting process starts normally when sophomore year.
Sophomore year, right?
So you're a guy coming in technically a little late, right, to the recruiting process for you to kind of get your name out there, because I believe you told me you had the opportunity, if you were what'd you say, like an inch taller, to maybe get some Power 5 offers, but just because you were an inch shorter, especially on the O line, they were like, they loved your tenacity, your level of play, how nasty you were, but you just didn't fit the prototype that they were looking for. And it's funny because when we talk about it, like, guys understand, like, if you're literally this much shorter than what they want, they're not going to take you. You know, because they're going off what potential. We hate to say it, like you said, but it's a meat market.
Yep.
And my question basically is like, you now going into that recruiting process and kind of get an idea of how it is. Like, did that kind of shock you, take you aback, or was it more like, all right, fuck it, I'm just going to go with what I get?
I mean, of course, I was kind of shocked. It's like, because, you know, it's just an inch, but at the end of the day, it's just like, if you get offered, it's like a blessing, you know, because they offer you out of like all the like millions of high school players, and like they offer you, and like get you per school paid and all that. It's just like everyone wants to have that, you know.
Right. But that's big, right? Like you just said, like and the guys understand, it's like the amount of guys that are on a recruiting list year to year are big. And even Coach Fandert could talk about that, especially since, I mean, you've coached in high school ball in the States, and also you're at Ole Miss for a season. The list is big, and guys understand, like, hey, they could find anybody at any time for that piece of paper that says, hey, we're giving you a scholarship, because that's what everybody's chasing. And they don't understand, like, for example, like I'm just going to say it, there's at least, 100 Dimi sitting at fucking right now in the backwoods in Connecticut, for example, or let's say in Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to find a way to make yourself do what? Stand out, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's a gut check, because for a lot of guys, understand, like, this is a business. And at the end of the day, it is a nasty and unfair business, no matter how they want to glamorize college football.
Yep.
You know, talk about that process when you ended up deciding for Rhode Island. I mean, what made you do that? Because I know we talked about it a little bit, where it was kind of like trying to see if maybe you could get some other offers other places, but you ultimately decided to go to Rhode Island.
So first thing was like because of the coaching staff, because everyone is like, you know, just like they're real.
Mm-hmm.
And second thing was like the environment. It reminded me of home. And
how did it remind you of home?
It's just like the weather, just like how the place looks like. It's pretty quiet there, and like I don't like it, like, you know, so like in the big city or something.
But Munich's a big city, or a mini city.
Yeah, I know, but I'm more like the quiet type guy.
Okay.
So I like that, and also like the conference was pretty good, like Delaware, JMU. So there was all these factors were in my list.
Okay.
So
what did your parents say about this whole process and now having decided to go to college? Because I could imagine for them, first of all, I mean, they supported you 110% from what I remember, and now you've been gone for 2 years, and now it's kind of like, hey, I'm probably going to be gone for another 3 or 4. Like, I could imagine, especially for your mom, being like, hey, that's my baby.
Yeah, my mom is proud of me that I went to Rhode Island, and she wants me to finish. So she's like happy that I'm there, also like proud. So she's not really like sad, but more like proud that I'm here.
Yeah. How many times a year you are at home? Because now you say you leave Germany with 17. You probably come back early 20s, middle of 20s. If you want to come back to Germany, I mean, it's an important time in your life. I mean, how many times you have time to visit your family?
So in Florida, when I went to Clearwater, I only could go home for summer and Christmas.
Yeah.
And now at Rhode Island, I could go home for summer for like 2 months. And then for Christmas, it's different, because if we make the playoffs, I can't go home at all. So.
But it's with the kids out there, you know, that I need to know if you sign up for stuff like that. It's not like, oh, I go home for Christmas, for Easter, for birthday, for summer break, I don't know, grandma has birthday. You know, you committed to be away, you know, to be away
Yeah.
from family. It's a good thing, yeah. And besides football, what you study right now? I mean, to come to the next topic, it's yeah also, I mean, the same. College is great. It's getting the work done as well. What you study?
I'm majoring in criminal justice, so it's it's not as hard. It's not a hard major, but you know, get it in one line with football just makes it tough. Especially freshman year, so you gotta get used to that. But besides that, it's just now like um, this semester was was pretty easy, I say, because you know you're comfortable, you're settled, you know all the people, you know how it goes, and it just makes everything easier.
What was hard about the first year? Like just the workload, like the amount of work you got to do, or what?
So the first semester was terrible. It was horrible. And I'm gonna tell everyone who's going to college first year, it's horrible. Just want to go home.
Why is that? Why is it horrible?
they they break you.
They break you?
They
Really?
break you.
But you're a guy. I mean, for example, I mean, you say like you have a different mindset, right? Like I don't feel like you should be broken.
Yeah, but in college is like it's not high school anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Workload or
I just came. Um, the work is like you know it's schoolwork is okay. It's not bad.
Okay.
But it's like you know it's like just like the transition to football from high school to football to college football is like it's a big jump.
How big is it? So tell us more. Elaborate.
It's just the people you play with and play against. Some of them are ready to go to the NFL,
Okay.
and they're just like stronger, bigger. It's
Mm-hmm.
like everything is faster,
Right.
and like everything is more detailed, more scheduled. So it's like it's just like a I'm gonna say if you don't practice like on if you don't play and practice like it's game day, you're out like next guy in.
Right.
That's how it works.
Right. Because that's the thing where people don't understand. Like, and that's something. Let's say that we try to do with you guys, and at least for me, for my part, with the Warriors, it was kind of more like, and I still do it where I coach at. Guys understand like your spot is not your spot. Like you have to earn it. Like you said, every day's game. You have to earn it every day. Every day is what is an interview day. And if you don't show up, it could be the next day you walk in. And I don't know how it is for you guys, but like you walk into meetings, let's say, and the roster is up, and you find yourself on the depth chart, what, second or third now, and you're like, how the fuck did that happen? And well, it's like, look at the tape, because the tape don't lie, you know. And that's like you're trying to talk about. That's one thing, let's say, because you're a guy, you know what, you gave up no sacks at Clearwater, right? And you're in
Exactly.
the record book for having the most pancakes, you know, in your
Yep.
2 years there. But now, like you said, now you're going to college where you're playing against guys that were handpicked for a reason. So it's like you got to find a way to keep yourself motivated to compete at that level, like what you said, with other guys that are as good, if not better than you know, because that's just the reality of the sport.
So the mentality you gotta have for college, especially college, is like, especially when you play O line, just wanna kill them, kill the guy in front of you. Just um rip his fucking head off. I'm telling you, it's like
It's okay.
it's
We don't care. We're not going to get on you for that.
it's it's just like you gotta have this mentality, especially when you play O line, because they don't the whole defense not gonna make an excuse for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just gonna they can play 100%. So you gotta just go 100%, 110%, and knock the motherfucker out. It's
Mm-hmm.
like that's how it is. Like it's just like for me as an offensive lineman, just like in high school when you pancake someone and just like and you fall on him with 300 pounds, it's just like
Right.
The feeling is like, it's satisfying.
Really? Why is it satisfying?
It's like you can feel how his breath is going away because 300 pounds fell on him.
It's funny you say that because I mean I showed Coach Fandert your highlight tape and like you just see yourself coming after people. Not only after you pancake them, but then you fucking come after them. You know, and that's kind of one of the things that I'm gonna say, at least personally, that I try to, let's say, instill with my guys. And it's one of the things where we've talked at length with it, where I've even asked you, like, you know, what is your mindset? How do you kind of go about it and try to find a way to develop it? Because it's tough to do that. We know this as coaches because just going off the whole comparison with out here with Europe, I mean, this is a mindset where essentially at every program where I've been at and been an OC, I've had to find a way to bring that out of offensive alignment. And it's funny when we talk to you, it's like you basically want to kill somebody, right? Because you told me last time and you said, I don't know if you really want to know this, but I like if you want to, you could say like what goes through your mind when you line up each play, or it could be at practice or in the game. What do you want to do?
Especially on game day, it's like I sit by myself and I make myself mad, and like my thoughts are I wanna kill them, all of them. I just wanna pancake them and rip their fucking teeth out. I just wanna poke them with my thumbs. I'm telling you, I just wanna break them.
Right.
Every one of them.
Right.
It's like I get so mad, but like also in a controlled way, so I don't get penalties. Of course, I got sometimes some penalties, but it's just like
you do it between the whistles. Between the whistles, right?
Between the whistles, exactly. It's like playing some mind games with them, you know.
Like what? You talk some shit.
It's like just some trash talk, you know.
Okay. Football trash talk, yeah. Would you say this is something that you've had from the very beginning? Because talking about it a little bit, we could backtrack. We both met 2014 with the All-Star, or with the Bayerische All-Star, sorry for the German. So that's the Bavarian All-Star team. It's a part of the National All-Star program out here. And you played actually defensive lineman for me when I was the DC. And I mean, of course, it's a little bit different. This is a younger me and stuff like that. But kind of talking about, did you have that mindset back then, or it developed over the years?
So, I had that like just like kind of like a spark of that mindset when I was 13 or 14, and then over the years, just like it developed, and like it just got bigger, and like my thoughts were also like different all the time.
Okay.
On game day.
Okay. One little thing, we talked a little bit of story time. How was that experience, 2014, with the All-Star, when you sat there and then you noticed that, oh, your DC is American? I remember this is a funny story because actually, to be honest, your English has gotten a lot better and it's very different than it was now, right? I think we lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost him.
Yeah, sometimes it's very important to grow up on the way, you know. Right. I mean, coming from the Auswahl team in Germany, which is actually a pretty good setup when to see really the best talents, and then see a guy like Dimitri, who is now a scholarship O-line player, played then in D-line back in the day, who had this experience as well. And of course, if you 2 years in high school and now 1 year in college, of course your English is getting better. You have to learn it.
I'll see when he gets back in on the call, because this is a story kind of I want to share with people, because it's actually it's funny. Where I kind of originally mentioned, we go back since like we go back to 2014, where he actually played for me. So this is a little story that it goes back to when I started coaching, and I actually became the DC for the Bayerische All-Star team, the Bavarian All-Star team, and he was actually one of my players. And we kind of we formulated a close relationship that holds to this day. But it's funny how it kind of started off, and we'll see when he gets back on time to try to talk about it more. But he said he was sitting there in the meeting and being like, my English isn't good. I hope he doesn't fucking call on me because I'm screwed. And it's funny talking about that, just kind of seeing the way he's developed, because I've had the wonderful opportunity and privilege to see him develop to get where he is at right now. And I could say one thing. I mean, he is 100% or 100 times different and more developed than what he used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're like 9,000, like I say always, if you're 9,000 miles away from home, you have to, you have to do. Even if not, then you just come back like all the other guys doing. Like, I mean, I see so many kids every year that go and play high school and you go and play college, and 2 months later you see them again on practice. Like, what are you doing here? Yeah, it's nothing for me. I want to be at home. So there is something, and if you made it like he and all this recruiting process, I think we keep that a little bit short, but it is huge. It is huge to come in a recruiting process as a European. You need normally, you know how it is in the States. You need the support from your family. You need someone to drive you to visit. You need money. I mean, like Brandon said yesterday, of course, you need the time, you need the money, you need to do something. And when you're there really alone, I think that helps you grow fast, But turn it around, back to the language. What about you, Coach Mele? You coming to Rhode, you don't speak German before. What was your first meeting and everyone speaks, like, I don't know,
You mean
50 guys speaking German and you sitting there like, what the hell is going on?
So if we're talking just coaching wise, because I originally came over as an import, so that was kind of a different transition where they knew I didn't speak German, so I had to, I mean, for the most part, especially being in a place like Algoy and Kempton, where it's in a more let's call it countryside, so people do speak, let's say, English, but it's not as, let's say, evident or on a wider scale like it is in places like Munich, Hamburg, let's say even up in Kiel. But when I started coaching, actually, 2014, like we're talking about the Bayern Auswahl, the Bayern All-Star team, Bayerisch. So we know down there, first of all, it's German, but it's a different German.
Oh yeah, I'm from Dresden. Everyone heard probably, but
right,
there's Austria, Bavarian people, weird language.
Right, and that's one of the things where at the end of the day, I mean, I remember sitting there, and first of all, I didn't understand a single word. Of course, at the time I had already taken German. But, this is now talking about like coaching in German. Like speaking German and then coaching German is also completely different. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it took me aback or per se, but it was like, all right, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. So it was more like, in the beginning, I remember I actually spoke more English. I was lucky to have coaches around me, for example, like when I was the DC, where they actually, they helped translate and like facilitate and help me kind of like, get my point across to players, so that helped me out a lot. But I mean, I would notice it like when I would have to run my individuals for, let's say, the U19.
Yeah.
So now the U19 was different because with them, for example, I remember getting some kids from Kirchdorf, where I think it's like Niederbayerisch, I believe.
It's close to Austria, Kirchdorf. Yeah.
Oh, that's like another animal.
Yeah.
And then you, like, of course, if you understand the language, you try throwing in words here and there, but it's like, it's a different animal, especially in meetings. I remember over the years, of course, it got better. But in the beginning, it's kind of like, you have those moments where you sit there and you're like, I hope they understand me, because this is the thing, right? We got to coach them up. We got to get them ready, especially at that level where we actually have a bigger practice setup where it's week-long camps, weekend camps, and so forth.
Absolutely. What was your first German word? What was the first German you can speak?
Say it again.
What was the first German word? Would you can
word or sentence?
Both.
So there's one I can't say on air because it's actually not that good. One of my players, who was actually a very religious kid down in Algoy, taught me to say, basically, in German, it would be, "You are an ugly butterfly." Or like, "Du bist eine dreckige Schmetterling." And he was like, "It's very mean. It's very mean if you say this." So that's kind of one of the first things. But like, it's like with every language, you learn like the bad words, like the stupid stuff for the most part. I mean, I don't know how it was for you going from, let's say, I mean, of course, like you've been around here in Europe, for example, with teams like New Yorker, Dresden, and so forth. So like you have been around the English, but now you're going to, let's say, the States. For example, when you were at Westminster, right? Westminster College, and you have to coach 110% of the time in English as opposed to German, right?
That was crazy. And I remember the first time I was in the office and in Westminster, and I have to pick up something for the other coach. I don't know, there was a drink or something, cola, whatever, burger. And everyone was talking like bucks. Everyone like, oh, it's not more than $20. I was like, what the hell? What for bucks? I was like, counting my money. I'm like, oh no, I need $20 or 20 whatever. And I was like, I go to my friend Seth. I say, what the hell does guys want? What would I want with $20? And they say this. We call it bucks, like dollar. That's what we say. So that was the first funny thing. And also when I was in Czech Republic, everyone said Tivole on the first practice. Tivole. And I was like, what do you mean with Tivole? It means it's good? And I said, no, this is totally opposite from good. And I just heard everywhere, Tivole here, Tivole there. I was like, oh, okay. So I was thinking I had a good practice.
That's the same thing in Poland, where all I was hearing the whole time was kurwa.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
And everybody knows, like in the Polish language, that has different languages, different meanings in their language. And all I kept hearing was that. And then once I figured out what it meant, I was like, oh God, this is like an everyday thing.
Well,
it's even the same thing in French, for example. They say putain, where it's kind of like shit, you know, and they say it like for everything, or they say for shit. So it's like, it's very interesting when you go into a different culture in the scenario where you're trying to figure out, okay, like what are they saying? And like you said, like also talk about like kind of understanding the little basics of things and how people react to things. That's kind of like, of course, once you get past that point, it helps you out a lot better in terms of coaching, because you don't know immediately like what is kind of going on. Is it a good thing or a bad thing what they're saying? Like I think that's one of the hardest things that kind of in the first part get through.
Yeah, the other one was like when I was in Denmark, but Danish, it's a little bit like German. If you understand it on one point, you will get it. But what always is weird is Swiss. When I was in Switzerland, for everyone who listens out of Switzerland, die Küchenkertli. So now we got him back.
He's back. So what is the Küchenkertli? What are you saying?
It was something with I don't know.
Okay.
Yo.
Back with us.
Oh, I'm doing it for my phone right now.
Fine, don't worry about it. No, we were just talking about, because we kind of went off the topic where your deal got disconnected. We were talking about in terms of for you how it was, you know, let's say that little story we're talking about when you first got to know me, where your English wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Sitting there in front of the room, and you have, let's say, Coach Mele speaking to you literally in just English, because of course, and we talked about it more right now while you were gone, kind of going about also from our side of it, where, you know, like for us coaching in a foreign language, especially for me, like in Germany, and let's say being an Allgäu and then coaching with the Auswahl, where you get guys, let's say from Kirchdorf, where it's not only German, but it's like a different dialect now. And that's also difficult for coaches. And I can only imagine for you also having that experience already a little bit in Germany. But let's talk about that story. So like, you could talk about it first.
So the first time I met Mele I was sitting in the first row in the meeting. I don't know why. And out of my head I was like, please don't ask me something. I can't answer you. I have no idea what you talk about.
Did you understand anything I would say?
Just a couple things.
Okay.
But like I understand so much that I could like translate it on the field. But other than that, I didn't know what you were talking about.
I was saying I was kind of lucky to have coaches along the way, where I had, let's say, Coach Daniel. So he was there. He was actually the D-line coach, so he helped me out a lot with like translating, because I mean he spoke like perfect English. But I mean that's kind of the one thing where it's like I felt lucky to have that, because that sometimes I would kind of ask myself like, shit, they don't know what I'm saying. 110% they don't know. And it gets better, of course, year to year. I mean, because when we look at it now, like I mean, I'm saying like you're not only your level of play, your fit, like the way that you look physically, because you've also been through a well-organized strength and conditioning program, also coming out of Clearwater and so forth. But also your English has gotten better, because that's also the other thing, right? The language barrier now. So there's so many factors going into the States where it's like, you know, it's not only football. We're also dealing with just simple communication, you know, and that also goes into what, like school and so forth. Because like other people don't realize it's so many factors going into your transition in the States.
So it's just like the first time when I came to the States, my English was terrible. I only knew the basics, like, hey, how are you? Good, and you? Like, you know, that's like the basics. But they helped me there. Just like when I said something wrong or used the wrong tense, they're like saying, hey, you gotta say it like that. Or they also gave me like some extra work, just like to get my English better for like in school. And like throughout the years, just like got better and better. So
That's good. I mean, of course, it's something what helps you to getting along with all this stuff now. Also at school with your homeworks, the little stuff besides football. Yeah, absolutely. How's going on? How's the day for you now at college? Now, of course, Corona, but normally, how much time it's school, study, practice, gym? When you have to wake up in the morning, and when you finally back at bed and say the day's over.
so in season, my day starts at 5:30 in the morning. So I gotta wake up at 5:30. I have a lift at 6:15. Then I have practice from 8 to 10:30. Then I got class from 11 to 4 p.m. And then I have study hall. And then, you know, I just gotta go eat, get some dinner, and then, you know, maybe I have 1 hour for like doing some homework, and then I gotta go to bed.
So you guys practice in the mornings?
Yep.
Okay, because in high school, was it also mornings or was it evenings like it normally is?
It was evenings.
So how's that? Is that different for you, having to get accustomed to waking up that early and stuff?
It was terrible. Waking up at 5:30. I'm not a morning person. That killed me.
I know that we did the same in Westminster College, and I was like, my first day, I was come there. Of course, you have a little jet lag, and then my coach says I stay with. He say, "You know, better go to sleep. We wake up at 4 tomorrow." I was like, 4? I mean, 4 in the morning, and he like, yeah, practice. I mean, coaches meeting is at 5. Practice starts 5:30, and I was like, why? Why are we doing it? And there was a Division 3 college, and they say, yeah, after the school there is softball, soccer. I mean, the field is closed. We have the field in the morning. And I was like, if you tell me this 3 months earlier, I will be not done. I was like, I was the whole season tired. I feel the first time I slept was on the airplane home again. I was like, I never used to it, and because we had a coaches meeting this stuff, and I don't know how sometimes, you know, before a game players are hyped, and I was like, I don't fucking care if we play on the weekend. I'm not asleep right now. It was for me a super difficult situation to adapt my body, my sleeping, and really when I get used to it, the season was over.
Yeah.
Because at 8, you're already the whole day is done for me as a coach. You know, at 8 we make the breakdown on film, and I was like, at noon we're good. I was like, what now? We're in Fulton, Missouri. There's nothing to do. So it was really, really weird one for me. I don't know how it was for you. 2 years now. Now the first year.
I mean, my quick question before you answer that too. Also, part of it is, because also you said, right, like we already talked about briefly, where it's like you got to clock in, clock out, like it's a job every day, but now you got to do it early in the mornings. I mean, that's another type of motivation, because not only you got to bring that dog mentality, but you got to find a way to turn it on like that early in the morning, you know?
It's like the most important thing is just eating good and get a lot of sleep. Like I went to bed sometimes at 8:30.
Really?
Living the college life, huh?
8:30?
Yeah, because you gotta go to bed that early.
Yeah,
Let's get at least 8 hours of sleep.
Right. Because before, I know 100% you weren't doing that in Munich.
Nah.
3 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that.
but how's your social life then out there? I mean, meeting with other players, everyone goes that early to sleep, and how is that? I mean, you're young people. Don't tell anything you don't want to say, but
Yeah, be careful.
careful. But how's social life? Of course, because when you go further and further, you want to stay in the States. I mean, is there also college in the States? Is there also connections, you know, to get after the
Right.
school jobs or a business? How that goes on?
So, you know, like, we have a pretty big campus, and like, you meet new people every day.
Right.
That's like, that was like also a crazy thing for me. Is like to realize how big the campus is, and you go to class and you see every day new people. It's like you meet there and there, like, new people all the time. So about like social life is like you can connect with people. Like we are like in our dorms, in our freshman dorms, it's just like you live with 3 people in one room. So they're mainly football players or like other freshmen. So that's not bad. And then after your freshman year, you live like kind of like in a what is it called? Suite. Yeah, with like 4 rooms, and like everyone has their own room kind of thing.
You're in the dorms, right?
Excuse me?
You still in the dorms?
Nah, I'm going to the new dorm. I'm trying to go to the new dorm this semester.
Why? What happened? Too wild?
That's so, huh?
Too wild?
Nah, just like I just need my own space, bro. I can't, like, big thing for me is I can't study when people are in the room.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I need my own room. And also I snore, so people, I don't want to bother other people.
So are they giving you your own dorm now?
I'm gonna go to do the suite thing.
Oh, the sweet thing. So you're gonna have your own. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your plan after college? I mean, time is running, you know. We say 3-4 years. In Germany, it's more like, oh, I make the Abitur, I study here, I study there, maybe I make a side job. In the States, it's college is done, boom, over, job.
Right.
You want to stay there? You want to make there your life, or coming back to Europe?
Maybe play in Europe for somebody. Maybe try to win some championships. I don't know.
So
You want to go to Braunschweig or what? Just kidding.
No, God.
So honestly, I don't really know what I'm gonna do after college. It's like I don't know if I'm gonna stay in the States. Just because, like, you know, my whole life pretty much is right here, you know, in Germany.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just like it just depends what happens in the next 3 to 4 years. And yeah, I think that's like a big factor what's gonna happen in the next year. So
Absolutely, of course, it's you stay healthy. Of course, I hope you stay healthy. But no big injuries and all that stuff. How it plays out on the field, of course, as well.
Right. How does everything look for this coming season? I mean, we're not talking about Corona yet. I mean, we'll touch on it after this. But also going in, I mean, your first year, because you were backup, right? Second, third string, kind of fighting.
That was third string.
Right. How is that like, or how was that this year going about that, and now coming into, let's say, your second year and now trying to take the starting position, let's say?
It's like you gotta compete every day. Like even in the weight room, it's like you compete. Like they're all your friends, all your teammates, but like you still compete. Mm-hmm. It's like, nah, you don't lift more weight than me. Mm-hmm. Not today. Like that's the type of thing you have. And this spring in the weight room was like we went off. Like we were lifting heavy.
Okay.
And like we all were ready for a spring ball, but like especially me, I was getting so strong. Mm-hmm. Like it was crazy. Like the way college strength and conditioning forms you,
right?
Like crazy.
Look, I mean, I talked about it before a little bit. You got exposed to that being at Clearwater because you trained with who was it again? I forgot.
I trained with ATG and Bulletproof Athletics.
because I know ATG is well known, so you had the opportunity to kind of go through that. Where a guy, it's like they're specialized, so you've been exposed to that, and now you kind of see also talk about like kind of what I was trying to get guys like you and other guys understand. Even like let's say Chris Azalea that played with the Ravens, it's like this is another animal. Like the training, like in Germany, let's say that some guys have, and even when they have a coach, like it's nothing close to what it can be like it is in the States, because like we just said, it's an everyday thing, and even for a lot of guys that take it seriously in Germany, there's no way your level of work compares to a guy who is practicing 5 to 6 times a week plus games. There's no way. That workload is very different because your body there is accustomed to that workload. If we do that in Germany, like guys are going to be fucking sore.
Yeah.
And there's no way they'll be able to perform because for the most part, you get guys that, let's say, for them it's truly semi-pro and they have their own jobs where they got to sit and do other stuff. Their body won't be able to handle it. Even when you got young guys like in the U19 where they're doing an Ausbildung and they have to work/go to school, it's very different. Very different. So you're actually one of the lucky few that gets to experience it and try to develop yourself physically. Looking at it this year, right? I mean, how's it look at? Because we talked about it already, but the guy in front of you is what? You said redshirt junior?
He's a redshirt sophomore.
Redshirt sophomore. Okay. You gonna take his job?
I mean, I'm working on it. I'm trying to.
Okay. And that's one thing we know, because it's like, I mean, you've been a guy who's been the starter his whole career, and now you're the backup. I mean, that's tough, right? Or it's like, whatever, I'm just gonna do what I have to do.
You just gotta do what you have to do. It's like you just gotta prove yourself, And like I knew when I came in, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be. I'm gonna come in and take everyone's job. Like that's not how it's gonna work. And like if people go in college with that mindset, they're gonna fall. And
you're gonna. Well, I always say you're gonna get hit with reality.
Yep.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you need to also understand that with the guys that always say to the backups, you're good, because if not, I'll say we see something in you, because if not, you don't have the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
It's this kind of competition. Of course, get your own always motivated to say to yourself, the coach is with me, even maybe not right now as a starter. But it's the worst thing what you can do is like, coach give up on me. Of course, if he gives up on you, you will know, because you lose a scholarship. So that's always important, is fight, because it is a business, like we always say. And the business is, you are on the team, you have a scholarship, the coaches love you. If not, you don't have the scholarship, simple as it is.
Exactly.
It's not like we're doing here in Hero, we're taking guys with to fill the roster. If something happened, we find no.
Right.
There is no space for friendship. There is just business. Even on college, I don't like to say it as a business, but we all know how it is. Yeah, so that's a pretty important thing for me always. Yeah.
So how's the current situation? Because right now you're in Munich. Because I know you got hit with the lockdown, and I remember you like, what was it? You were stuck in the dorms for like a week without food and shit.
Yeah, it was like spring break. I was stuck there. I was by myself. Was no food. That was pretty terrible. And then the following week,
You went to Walmart?
of course. Nah, not during spring break. After spring break, I was doing homework, because then they assign everything in online classes and all that. So, and then they started to open, I think the second week or third week, they started to open up the dining hall.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the whole situation just got worse. And then after I think like 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, man, I just want to go home. Like I can't do this anymore, being all by myself here.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that out with my head coach, and then I got back. It was terrible though. I'm telling you, flying back. So it's like,
Really?
because I flew from Boston to Dublin.
Okay.
And there were like, for my flight from Dublin to Munich in the morning, there were like 4 people, and they canceled the flight.
Really? How was
And I had
it in Boston? Was there more?
Boston, like the airport is empty.
Wow.
There's no one there, and especially Dublin, everything was closed, and I had to be there for 10 hours.
For 10 hours.
Yeah, it was terrible, bro. I'm telling you.
What did you do
And
with
then,
it for 10 hours?
no, I was I was walking around Terminal 1, Terminal 2. I went outside, just like, how to see how Dublin looks like and all that. And
how is it to go back right now? There is a travel ban, if I'm right informed. So right now you can't go back.
I can't go back.
And what does it affect you and your playing and your study? You have contact to the U.S. Embassy to getting more infos quicker, or I mean, let's say Trump say the travel ban still until December.
I mean, we just gotta like go through that. It's like you can't do nothing about it. It's like
you
just gotta see how it goes, and like if the travel ban stays till end of the year, then it's gonna be like that. Because if the travel ban stays, you're not gonna play football.
Yeah, absolutely. But is there anything the coach or the athletic director talk with you about your scholarship? Is this anything, or is it safe?
No, it's just like we're gonna have school online.
Yeah.
Because like that's like the problem is for the whole team. So I feel like the NCAA is gonna do something about maybe maybe talk about like getting another year of eligibility or something. Just gotta see what this coronavirus is gonna do, because if it's gonna be like that in like a couple months, like there's not gonna be college football this year.
We're sitting everyone in the same boat, college, GFL, NBA.
Exactly, there's no football.
Everything. I mean, it's the first year the NBA has no champion this season. The NHL, Major League Baseball. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because what was it? You had to get the permission, like you said, from your coaches to leave. I mean, I think the info that you said, they told you like June 15th or something like that.
June 21st, they wanted me to go back for the summer session.
Did they book a return flight for you, or that's not booked yet? It's kind of waiting to see the situation.
It's like it's booked, but it's just like we just gotta see the situation because we can still change it.
Right. But as of right now, they're giving you until June and all that. Okay. Especially since they're saying like you're saying you were getting in probably the best shape you've been in your playing right now in the States. What are you doing right now on a daily basis to at least stay in shape? Because, for example, like especially in Germany, where 100% you're probably not going to find any access to get in the gym. You're not lucky to, let's say, maybe some guys in the States that have maybe a strength coach and he'll maybe open it up for the guys, like 1 or 2 guys that go in. Like you don't have that luxury because we kind of know how, let's say, the gyms work out here in Germany per se, and how they're very on this. In Germany, be streng, and like they're very strict with their rules, right? So for you, I mean, you got to basically do a lot of body weight training. You got to go. I don't know how it is in Munich right now, or if you're technically allowed to go run somewhere, unless they're going to check you for your ID and say, "What are you doing?" But how is that for you right now on a daily basis? Because I mean, you do have your school to stay busy, but technically, you have essentially a season to get ready for somehow.
Yeah, I mean, bro, like the second day I was here, I got busted by police. There's like ID checked and all that.
Oh, what you have? You have your address from the United States and have to explain them what the hell you're doing here?
No, it's like I have my address from my dad's apartment, and it's like 15 miles away from here.
Ooh, what they say?
Yeah, they're like busting me right in the front of the street, like why are you here, and what are you doing here? Because of it says on my ID. And I said, yeah, I'm living with my mom and all that. So that was pretty annoying, but it's like with the running situation, it's just like I have to change my ID first, because if they police stops me again, they can just give me a fine, or they're gonna send me back to my dad's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but like, other than that, I just like take like I don't know how to say in English, these die Sachen, wo Wasser drin sind, weißt du, dieses Sixpack.
The bottles of water, the six packs.
Exactly. I just like use that, you know. It's gotta like muss erfinderisch werden ein bisschen.
What did you say?
Erfinderisch. You have to get some IDs.
You have to get some ideas. You said you know English.
But other thing is, you say you have online schools. You're having just a video chat schools with your teacher because they are then for you at night, or is it just some PDF you can fill out?
So I have one class. I have like video meetings Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the other classes they just like email us and give us assignments and all that. So.
But then you study right now in the middle of night, or because it's like 7 hours different, 8 hours different.
It's 6 hours time difference.
So
that's tough.
That's a tough year for you. I mean, right now, tough time for you and all the other guys there. They're going through this way. You're in touch with some other guys. They're Germans playing division football, college football, and now back in Europe. Is there like kind of a little community? This is say, hey, how is your experience? Maybe East Coast area.
So, of course, and you know Jasper. He played for Cal.
Is he still there?
No, he's at Snow College. He's at junior college right now.
Okay.
And then I know what is his name, Kareem. He plays at Virginia. What was the other kid? Honestly, it's like I think it's just like these two that I have most in contact with.
Okay.
You know, because I don't know the other kids, like this kid from Michigan or the other kid from Virginia or like Notre Dame. I don't know these kids.
Okay. Okay.
I just know Kareem and Jasper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about the situation and all that, and kind of your experiences also playing, or here and there? Not really.
I mean, not really. It's just like, you know, just like talk about football and all that. Just like about the situation right now. I know that my boy Kareem is like in Florida right now.
Okay.
And I know Jasper is back home. He was home earlier than I was. So that's the only thing I know. So
everybody's essentially stuck in the same boat, kind of just waiting out and see. I mean,
exactly.
It's not only like you guys; it's also guys that, let's say, we're preparing to have, let's say, the NFL, or sorry, not the NFL, also the NFL pathway program that kind of got cut short, and guys had to come back, like David Bada and Platskuma. But also for like the CFL combine that was supposed to happen, they had to push that back. And you got guys from Europe that want to make that jump, and now they kind of have to wait and see what happens, you know. So it's everybody as a whole, and it's kind of like what you said. It's going to be interesting if things will start up and so forth. But at least, I mean, for you at the end of the day, it's also kind of like more of an extended, let's say, summer, because at least you get to be home with, you know, your family, your mom, dad, sister, the dog, and so forth. But yeah, man, I mean, it's gonna be interesting how everything plays out, and like kind of, I mean, I think you already know this, right? Like we're supposed to find out essentially what Monday around that time what's about to happen or what the plan is.
Today, I think that I think in two. I
thought today
2 hours. Today they have the meeting.
With the meeting, right? But then they're supposed to tell us, like, I think Monday they were saying something like that.
I'm telling you right now, they're gonna extend it.
Oh, 100%.
There's no way he's gonna let
He's like, there's no way. He's like, they're extending it. They're extending it. That's what I mean, well, because France 2 days ago, a day ago, 2 days ago, something like that, they just extended theirs to May 11th. And I'm like, maybe ours isn't until May 11th, maybe ours until like the 8th. I don't know, but 100%, like, it's getting extended somehow, you know? Yeah. And then everybody's going to get even more pissed off.
Like, bro, look, the thing is, people don't understand, like, the situation is like, they all want to go outside right now. But like before this coronavirus, they were all sitting at home playing video games.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. It's
that's hilarious.
yeah.
Like now they're complaining and all that. Like they're complaining about like their Freiheitsrecht and all of that stuff. Like you know, it's like applying to the police. I'm like, just to stay at home, just like do it for all the people.
Yeah.
Like, for your mom, for your dad.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it's just like
also for everybody to have a football season, you know.
Everyone is crying that can't go in a gym. I probably, the most of the people like me never go to the gym. So, but I'm not complaining that I can't go to the gym. But it's really like, I heard from a lot of people like, I can't go to the gym. I'm like, oh, you never told me before that you going.
Oh, that's
to the
trro.
gym. Yeah, it is. It's a weird situation. Or cooking, everyone, oh, I can buy this. I mean, wait, I know you was 10 years. You never cooked. You made next time. So it's always funny. Always funny what the people are talking about right now. Yeah.
Our worst thing is finding ways not to spend too much money at the grocery store.
Oh yeah.
Because every time I go to the grocery, even like yesterday, I keep buying too much food, and I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand what I'm doing.
Why you buying too much Nutella?
I don't need Nutella, man. Peanut butter. That's peanut butter.
Peanut butter. If you want to sponsor Coach Mele, this is a deal. He eats peanut butter. Massive.
It's not that bad. It goes with everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's delicious. You know, it's like Nutella for like peanut butter for me is like Nutella for Germans. Literally, that's what it is for us Americans. You know, and God, people don't understand that. It's like
it depends how much people eating Nutella with a spoon.
So I've seen people do that. You know, Dimi, you were eating Nutella out of the glass. I can guarantee that part.
I'm telling you, the other day, I'm gonna be honest, I had like 4 like fucking sandwiches with Nutella.
How many?
So 4.
Yeah, it is sometimes.
So good.
Oh God, but no, I mean, that's just, it's funny, and we'll kind of see how everything plays out. But I mean, it was a pleasure having you on and getting your experience in terms of what it's been more like for you coming out of let's say the junior ranks in Europe, especially in the GFL-Juniors, where that's regarded as the highest youth league out here in Europe, and then going to make a name for yourself actually in high school, and then going that path, which, I mean, and we say it all the time, any type of path going to the States is very difficult, you know, but especially now also having to go and get the transition into high school and now making the jump into college, you know, and now you're going into your second year and essentially hoping to get more playing time than what you got last year. But, you know, like you said, it's all about the transition. You have to find a way to get comfortable, to feel at home after that first year, and then you can play at a higher level. Because that's what it is. That first year, for a lot of guys, for the most part, like 99.9% of the time, as a freshman coming in, it's a transition year. You got to get accustomed to classes, like you said, to the workouts, to the new schedule like you have in the mornings now. And a lot of schools do this. Or some schools, their practices are longer. You know, it all depends. Sometimes you got weights in the morning, then you got classes, then you got practices in the evening. That's how it was for us in college. So it's like you just got to get used to it. Once you find your routine, you know, and especially now we're talking about also like the scheme that you guys run offensively, that's also another thing. And once you get, you know, comfortable in that, you know, you're going to play at a higher level, and then it's going to continue on. But we wish you nothing but the best. We appreciate you having you. We wish you nothing but fun, essentially, in the next 2 months, you know, because at least you get to focus on school. You know what I mean? And we know this, but what's more important, school or football?
Cool.
Yeah, there you go. But thank you again, and